What's up, everybody? This is Fidel from How We Talk Podcast.
What's going on, guys? I'm Izzy.
And I'm Artie Casas.
That's Artie Casas.
Right.
You know, I don't know why, but that just rolled off really good. It just kind of like it.
Did.
I think the podcast and Casas, it just kind of rolled good. It rhymed.
Yeah.
That was cool. It was interesting. Anyways, we're here today, and we're like you said, we're talking with Artie Casas. You know what's funny, Artie? Is I remember when we were in school, you had like a folder, and in that folder, for whatever reason, it said Artie, and then right next to Artie said Vavoom, and then it said Casas.
That's right.
And I always thought for a long time, I was like, his middle name is Vavoom. It's Vavoom.
It's luscious.
And then, and I asked you about it, and you're like, nah. And I'm like, well, what was it? You didn't give me an actual explanation of what Vavoom was. Was it just something cool that you wrote?
For that explanation.
It was like a nickname that never really stuck. You know,
was it a self-proclaimed nickname?
No. I guess that's probably why I'm more calm now. But I guess I used to be loud when I was younger.
Okay.
So and I was really loud because I was younger from the group of. I was kind of in that younger group from my older cousins.
Yeah.
So I had to be louder than everybody else to get the attention I needed or whatever. Yeah. So then they're like, I guess there used to be some kind of character on like on Casper the Ghost or something. Yeah. His name was Vavoom, and he was really loud. He'd be like, "Oh, Vavoom!" He would shout it out.
Yeah.
And so one of my cousins tried to stick that on me, and I didn't end up being a cholo, so it didn't stick.
You didn't end up being a cholo.
Isn't it weird the smallest things that just trigger your memories?
I wasn't planning on saying it, but right now when I called you, I called you Angel, and I'm like, and in my head registered that's his middle name, and then I thought, no, Vavoom's his middle name, and then that's when I asked you right now.
What if he was in the witness protection program?
I would have just killed it right now.
Changed Vavoom to Angel.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Damn. Anyways, so you just asked me right now how I know Artie.
Yes, I did.
Me and Artie we went to middle school together, junior high.
Whatever it's called now.
I think it was back then it was Trewick Intermediate.
Yeah.
Trewick?
Trewick. Yeah.
I didn't go to Trewick.
Oh, you didn't go to Trewick?
That's weird, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't go, but
no, it's not weird.
I went to Covina though.
Yeah.
And like everybody ended up knowing went to.
Oh wait, it is weird because you grew up here.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Royal Oak.
Oh, in the Charter Oak area, Charter Oak district.
Trader.
I know.
But your brother, where did he go?
Royal Oak.
That's weird. Oh, is that, you know what? Is that a Christian school?
No. It was right next to a Christian school, Western Christian.
Okay, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But no, we went to Trewick.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw out some old names out there. Mr. Kiss.
Oh yeah, he does reporting now for the San Gabriel Valley Tribune.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, that still exists?
Wait, I thought they turned that. I thought they closed that down.
No, I don't know what he's doing there, but I reached out to him and told him like, hey, I remember you used to, I used to be a sports writer for a minute.
Yeah.
So then it was like, dude, like you're my PE teacher, for 2 years or something like that, And then we had that army looking dude for 1 year too, a big tall one. He looked like Superman.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember his name either. But he was a big army-looking dude.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Mr. Kiss.
Mr. Kiss. That's funny. I didn't know that. Yeah, because I know the brick and mortar SUV it closed down, which you worked there for a while, right? Didn't you?
That one I don't recognize that one. No.
On the Sousa Canyon Road?
No, that one I didn't.
Oh, I thought you did.
Yeah. Wrong Mexican.
Wrong Mexican. But I know the actual building. I think it's closed down, right?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of tow trucks over there.
Yeah, for sure it's closed. It's been
so
closed
they must have relocated, or it's just a smaller
downsized,
online thing now, because I don't really think there's a paper.
I don't know. Been out of the game for a minute now,
yeah.
So
yeah. Well, so yeah, Trewick. That's where we met.
Back.
Oh yeah, dude. Way back. We were
14
years old.
Did you go to Covina?
I did. My freshman year, me and Fidel were in choir together for 2 years.
Right.
That's where we met. That's where we met.
Me.
That's where we met.
Do re mi,
Brian
motherfucker.
Adams?
Brian. Oh, it's only to start with that one. John Mellencamp.
It's John Mellencamp. All right. Wait. So where did you go for the rest of your high school career?
So then I went to, the people whose address I was using to go to Trewick and Covina, they got a divorce. So then I was forced out of there. They discovered me. So then I had the choice to go either Nogales or Workman. And all the guys I was playing travel baseball with were going to Workman. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go Workman. That's where all the guys are at. They're playing ball. So that's where I went. Workman 3 years, Covina 1 year.
Workman.
Lobos.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was thinking Warriors, but that's La Puente.
La Puente Warriors down the street. Yeah. The rivals.
The rivals.
Yeah,
dude. So from Covina High School, after that you went to
Workman.
As far as Workman High School. I'm sorry. As far as after Workman High School, you went to what?
I went to ELAC.
ELAC.
ELAC. I was a Husky there. Yeah, JUCO.
Nice.
Play a little baseball there.
Yeah.
Blew out my knee. That type of deal, you know. And then from there, Cal State Fullerton. Titans, baby.
There you go.
Tuss up.
That's it. Now I was just telling. I'm sorry, Israel. I was just telling Israel how today we were going to talk a little bit like the whole school thing. So we're going to call this like the back to school episode.
Yeah, this
right?
is a back to school episode.
So, and the reason why I asked him where did he go after high school is because we stopped at high school, and he had more back to school nights than we did.
I actually went to college.
You had a cup of coffee at college.
I did. I went to go pick up a girl.
There you go.
And I also just learned what JUCO meant.
Oh, that's right. I was like, I told him
Spit all
JUCO,
over
and then he's like, "What's JUCO?"
I don't know. Junior college.
Junior college, yeah.
Junior college.
Abbreviation.
Yeah. So you went for sports.
I did. I was recruited over there to
nice.
Play baseball. But it was like an accidental recruit. They were there to see my teammate, and my teammate knew I wanted to go there. And because I grew up part of my life in East LA.
Yeah.
So then he was like, "Hey, I don't want to go there, but he does, you know?" And they're like, "Oh, damn, all right. We'll take a look at him." So then they're like, "Hey, why don't you come over?" And blah, blah, blah. You know, junior college there's no scholarships or anything.
Right.
So all it is preferred walk-ons, basically,
Right.
I guess. You know, you just walk on and you're on the team.
Yeah.
Well, for the preferred walk-ons, other guys just have to try out.
Right.
So I had the preferred walk-on position, and I just showed up, made the team, you know. Dude, I don't remember throwing other than warming up, you know.
Yeah.
Nothing too big. So, yeah, sports helped me get my education, to be honest.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that where you at ELAC? Is that where you got? Because you just mentioned you were a writer. You did some writing.
Yeah.
Is that what influenced you? Was it where you got your influence from?
Yeah. So I didn't realize college started in August. You know, so I was actually late. I took my testing and stuff like that the week before school started.
Yeah.
So I didn't have pre-registered classes. So then I was just walking into classes trying to add classes. And one of the classes that fit the schedule for me to transfer, stuff like that, the dynamics of what I was looking, because I wanted to do broadcast journalism at first.
Yeah.
And was print journalism. So I was like, oh, J101. It's called Journalism 101,
Yeah.
right? J101. So I walked in there. The teacher added me. All right, sounds good. So I kind of walked into it. I wasn't very good at first. I was bad, honestly, at first. And then the teacher, you know, had this thing where every year the J101 students put out a campus newspaper. And so I really wanted to be the sports editor. So I applied for the sports editor, the assistant sports editor, and the cartoonist, right? Because you had to apply for 3 jobs. So then I didn't get the first 2. So guess who was a cartoonist? And I can't draw worth, you know.
I was gonna ask you how's your drawing skills?
It's not very good, but you had to apply for a third one, you know.
Hey, stick figures work.
Sheesh, you know. So I knew, and it got published. The thing I drew too got published in that campus newspaper. It was, again, might be the only thing I've ever gotten published in terms of drawing. But the thing is, what's cool is neither the sports editor or the assistant showed up when they needed to show up. So then she walked in, she said, "Who wants to be the sports editor?" And I'm like, boom.
There you go.
Raised my hand. And then fate kind of took over from there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
That's cool.
Did from there, so it's safe to say that you got a passion for it, and that's when you started pursuing that career.
Yeah. So then
in writing.
Yeah. So I pursued that career. She took a liking to me. She liked my work ethic. You know, I wasn't necessarily like gifted or anything where you're like, oh man, this guy's good. Like this guy's a stud. I wasn't, but I was really determined, and that's the way I've always been since I was a kid. Was like, all right, I might not be good right now, but if I learn, I'll get better. You know? So the same thing kind of happened there. And then I just kept taking classes because, you know, the college does keeping in sports, and my counselor, he said, all right, this is what you need to take. This is what you need to take to get out. And I was so close to getting an AA. She offered me a scholarship for Fullerton if I got my AA with them to help her program. So I said, all right, well, what do I got to do? She's like, oh, take this class, take that class, and you're good. And I said, all right, sounds good. And they weren't even hard classes. And she gave me like $1,000 scholarship. Nice. You know, that paid for my books and stuff like that once I went to Fullerton. And same thing, you know, it seemed like wherever I went, I wasn't necessarily gifted. I was just outworked everybody. Yeah. And that's how I got kind of recognized. And then I did my internship with the LA Times. Same thing, like my mentor while I was in college was Bill Plaschke, who's a very famous sports writer. Right. Wasn't necessarily like that famous at the time, but one of my classes at Fullerton was like, hey, you have to reach out to people that you want to be like and just give it a try. See who replies. And I like Plaschke, I like Rick Riley, and I like J.A. Donde.
Yeah, Donde.
Those were kind of like my top 3 dudes, right? So I sent emails and called them and everything, and only Bill replied, right?
Yeah.
And he said, hey, in an email, and emails were like barely coming out back then, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, hey, I can't do your interview questions on an email. It's really long. I don't have that much time, but call me. Here's my cell phone. Call me this and this and that. I was like, all right, cool. So I called him, you know, had a little tape recorder. I was all nervous and shaking, right? Because I knew who Bill was, you know? And called him, did his interview for like 30 minutes, and like he gave me his whole life story, and he told me the same. He was kind of the same path I was going. Like, dude, I sucked, you know. I'm like, you suck. You're like an award-winning, you know, journalist. So yeah, man, I was not good. It took a while. This and this and that. I got fired and blah blah blah.
Damn.
So he was telling me his story, and I was like, man, it was really inspiring, right? Because I'm like, oh man, I suck just like you, you know, like. So then we're going there, and then he asked me to send him samples of writing of that I was doing, and he would just point loopholes and like, oh dude, you missed an opportunity here. Look, you need to do this, you need to move this there.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. So it was a mentor, you know. And he's like, hey, don't stop getting a hold of me. He's like, if you send me clips, I'll show you and I'll teach you. So we can't be scared of getting your feelings hurt, right? And I was like, all right, no, I ain't scared, you know?
Yeah.
So then we kept doing that. And then it came time, in order to graduate from my degree that I wanted, you had to do an internship. So then I applied all across the country. I must have had like 20 rejections. Yeah. And even the LA Times rejected me the first time, right? And I was working for the damn St. Gabriel Valley Tribune, and they rejected me. And I'm like, man, I'm already working for you guys. Like, you know, doing a little stringing, you still don't get me an internship? Yeah. But the LA Times had a second internship come up, which was the Jim Murray Sports Journalism internship for sports writers across the country there in college. And I was one of 2 people in Southern California to be selected.
Nice.
So then that kind of really, that was my big break. You know how everybody talks about like, oh, what was your big break?
Right.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, meeting Bill and talking to him was, it helped.
Yeah.
But getting that internship was really like, man, the notch on your belt for the resume, you know?
I'm sure, yeah.
So I did that. And then of course, when Bill walked into the classroom, I guess, cause there was like 40 of us, and he knew me, everybody was like, how do you know Bill, right? Like, and I was like, oh, he's like a mentor, this and that. They're like, no way. Like, everybody was just tripping because, you know, he's up there. He's up there, you know? So, so went from there. And then that helped me get my first job out of college. And that's kind of where we're at.
And your first job out of college was the register, right?
Yeah, so I worked my first real job because you do what's called stringing. Stringing is just like what's the word I'm looking for here? Someone who's just like a part-timer or someone who's just getting paid per story, right? So I did stringing
like
like
a freelance?
Yeah, freelancer. I'm sorry, that's the right word. Yeah. Again, been out of the game for a minute, but I did my freelancing for like the San Gabriel Valley Tribune, Long Beach Press Telegram, Pasadena Star News, like everywhere that I could get my name out, I did stringing, right? But nobody would hire me. And so then the register, they said, hey, we'll hire you as a stringer, but we'll also give you an opportunity to interview for positions that came up. And I'm like, hey, well, that's better than anything else anyone else is offering, right? Right. So boom, the first interview that they came up, they're like, the LA Times, you were then like wrote for this one, that one. And they saw like my work ethic again, that was already with them. Yeah. So boom, I got hired right away. And nice. So then I was in charge of, they put me with the city. So they put you in the local section at first, right? Mm-hmm. So they put me in the city called Tustin. Yeah. So I was in charge of the Tustin News. And they were like the little not redheaded sister, but the little sister paper of the Register.
Yeah,
they're local.
The redheaded child or something like that,
because
right?
Irvine World News is like kind of like the golden child for the Register, right?
Yeah, right.
And then
the Register is Orange County?
Yes, Orange County Register. Yeah. Uh-huh. And but the Irvine World News is like the golden child of the Register, right? And then the Tustin News, you know, was like you said, you know, the stepchild. Yeah. They weren't bad, but it was a stepchild, right? Yeah. So then I was trying to make my name. Well, like, you know what? I'm not gonna make this a stepchild. We're gonna compete with the Irvine World News. And I was by myself, but the Irvine World News had 3 writers. Yeah. So then I was like, hey, so I told the people the Register, like, hey, I'm gonna need some help. Can I get at least freelance writers to come help me? And I was like, we'll take this to the next level. So sure enough, they're like, all right, we could give you 1 freelance writer, and you could do 1 story every 2 weeks. So you have them. All right, sounds good. So that's what I started doing. And then 1 turned into 2, and we started competing with the Irvine World News. Nice. So then when they saw that, they brought me to what we call the mothership, the Register. Yeah. So then they brought me over to the Register after like a year and a half, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. And then they made me the backup writer, the ghost writer or shadow writer for USC football.
Yeah.
And Angels baseball for a little bit. And then they give you a beat for the county, which I was in charge of tennis for the county.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of where the rest of my career ended right there. You
Yeah.
know? So
when you went out to do your stories and your exclusives and all that stuff, did you was that all your own pocket, or was that only when you were doing the freelance? Was that out of your pocket?
Freelance
did you have a budget when you were working with the register?
Yeah, well, they just pay you. You're on salary,
Oh,
so you don't get paid travel or too much or anything like that. Yeah, it's all salary and but freelance, yeah, it's all out of your own pocket. Yeah, but you're trying to work for a greater good type of thing. Like,
it's an investment that you have to make.
Exactly. But yeah, once I register, that's it. I was on salary, so it wasn't a big deal, you know.
Right on.
So, but it was nice because I got to meet a lot of famous people, which is what I always want to do. Not necessarily meet famous people, but I love sports.
Right.
So for me, writing about sports and getting to go watch sports for free and getting paid for it really was like the dream.
Right.
Like that was always my dream.
Right.
And that's what I got to do, for 4 years with the register. And then, I don't know, I think it was like 8 years in total that I was working as a writer.
Yeah.
So
any athletes that you can remember right now that professional athletes that you might have interviewed or had some kind of contact with?
Oh yeah,
exclusive.
A ton.
Okay.
So the best ones are probably I was so worried about interviewing him, but I had to do Roger Clemens, right? He was, and everybody told me like he's prickly, he's tough, he's mean, this and this and that. Be careful what you tell him, dude.
Well, this is Roger Clemens when he's Roger Clemens, right?
Yeah, right off the roids, type of thing, allegedly. But yeah, dude, he was cool, man. He was like real cool, and he asked me whatever question you want, this and this and that, and like answered everything super nice, right? And then the guy, they told me, hey, he's really nice, he's so easygoing, blah blah blah. He was mean, he was a little jerk. Mariano Rivera.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had heard nothing but good things about him, right? So I went into that one like, it's gonna be an easy interview, and he's like, why are you interviewing me? Blah blah. Like, why are you asking these questions? Like, gee, this doesn't relate to me, and this. And I was like, all right. And in my head, I just want to meet you. Like I didn't even care what you're really saying.
Best closer in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Ever. Yeah. So, but again, maybe he was just having a bad day.
Yeah.
I wish I could say I got to meet Derek Jeter, but that dude's real fidgety. He'll come in, he'll put one sock, he'll leave the locker room, he'll come back, put another sock, leave the locker room, type of thing. So I didn't get to interview him, but dude, I could rattle off some names: Reggie Bush and Lendell White. Alex Rodriguez, right when the steroid scandal hit, and he was really nice because I didn't interview him because it was like all the reporters were all over him, so I was doing all the interviews basically around him. And then I was down at the field at batting cage, and I was just like, I'm a big baseball guy, I played in college, right? So I like, oh my god, like BP up front right next to the cage with him, I was just in awe, right? And A-Rod comes over and he just taps me, he's like, hey, he's all I seen you around the clubhouse here a lot, right? And he's like, what are you working on? And I was like, A-Rod's like asking me a question? It's usually the other way around, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm working on a feature piece on Phil Hughes, who's a local guy out of Tustin, blah, 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 Oh, yeah. And then, so he's like, all right. He's like, hey, you look like the Latino. He's like, can I ask, like, what are you? And I was like, I'm Mexican. He's like, okay, you speak Spanish? I was like, yeah, I speak Spanish. I was not, like, great, but good enough, And he's like, all right, well, hey, good luck, this and this and that. And I was like, oh, you too. I was like, you know what? I know things aren't exactly perfect for you. I was like, but there's a few of us that still really like you, and I was like, I liked your game, so, keep it up type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. But, my biggest regret was I was so close. I was about to start helping out with the Lakers when I got laid off. Yeah. And I was like, I'm such a Kobe fan, and Shaq was there still, and it was like, would have been a dream, dude. Would have been a dream. But
Beto Duran moved in there. He took it from you.
Yeah, exactly. Knocked me. Yeah. So...
any beat writers or anything like that that are working like ESPN that you came across?
Famous ones. Well, Bill Plaschke, like I said, was my mentor forever. And he's on Around the Horn all the time.
Yeah.
Jay Adande, I got to meet him. TJ Simers, who I don't know, a lot of people remember him. Writers. In terms of like, I'm drawing a blank.
Maybe that were in the same level that you were in.
Oh, same level? Jeez.
In that area, and then
ain't nobody on my level. No, I'm just kidding. Not that developed.
No.
Not that developed. There was, even from my graduating class, it was only me and a girl that ended up being like professional writers for a while.
Yeah.
And everybody else went and found other jobs, you know? So I can't really even say that. Maybe in that journalism class, but it's so hard because you don't know them. They're all from around the country.
Yeah.
So like there's dudes from New York, Kentucky, Florida, and sometimes I found myself looking like, dude, what the hell am I doing here? You know,
Yeah.
like, cause I mean, you have confidence in yourself, but you're also like, damn, this dude's from New York. They really chose like the best of the best from around the country. You know.
Well, you know, I've heard, you know, people say that it's really hard to become a professional athlete. You know, the ratio from you know, kids that are playing right now in sports, growing up playing, to try to make it into the big leagues.
Yeah.
I think it's harder for sports writers.
Yeah.
The ratio, can you think about the ratio on that one?
Yeah.
You know, people that are studying to be a sports writer, and then how many of actually make it?
Because there's only so many positions. There's even less positions of that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So then for you to become even bigger and better, that's
Someone's
crazy.
gotta
You know?
retire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Someone's got to retire. So that's,
That or drop the F-bomb or the, you know.
yeah. Something on live.
It happens. It happens.
That's crazy.
When you were playing ball, did you play with anybody
Famous?
or-
I played against a lot of famous people, but never with. I'm trying to think. With, I can't think of one with, but the most famous guy I played against was Sean Burrows. He's the dude that won the Little League World Series back-to-back times with Long Beach. And then he got drafted by the Padres as the number, I don't know, he was like a top 10 pick out of Long Beach Wilson, I believe. And then, you know, he played in the majors for the Padres and Tampa Bay. And then I lost track of him when he last played for the Diamondbacks. So I played against him. And then a lot of the other dudes you're probably not going to know because they didn't become like big household names.
They probably stayed in the minor program.
Ricky Romero, you know, who was a tight end at Cal State
Ricky
Fullerton.
Romero.
Blue Jays, he was, you know, he won a national title with the Titans. I played against him, same thing. Pitcher, trying to think. Chad Cordero. See, again, these are guys that, unless you really know
you're in
baseball.
that, yeah.
I mean, Chad Cordero was an all-star, so was Ricky. Chad Cordero played for Don Lugo High School. Played against him. They called him the Chief. Again, another fellow tight end. And then he went to the Nationals, was, I believe, a two-time all-star over there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, again, if you don't know those, the other guys are going to be less, you know?
I would probably say one of the most famous Titans to come out right here would be JT, Justin Turner, right?
Yeah, Justin Turner is local, you know, he's a Long Beach guy, I believe.
Yeah.
Came out of Long Beach, so he's pretty local right here, too. Yeah.
You didn't cross paths with that guy?
Yeah, so Justin's a fellow tight end, and
Yeah.
Justin just happened to be a tight end when I was a tight end.
Oh,
He's a little younger. He's 3 years younger, but I transferred from, you know, a JUCO. I went from ELAC to Cal State Fullerton. And then, again, at the college ranks, the guy was popular, but his name was PJ Piliteri. So, and PJ's out of Bishop Vermont, and me and PJ used to play each other. We played each other for 3 years in high school.
Yeah.
So we knew each other well, right? So then my goal was to transfer from ELAC and try to walk on and play at Cal State Fullerton. That was like one of my dreams and goals.
Yeah.
I blew out my knee right before I even had that chance, so it just never developed.
Yeah.
But I still went to school there. So, but I knew PJ. So, and PJ and me had the same major, right? And again, I know there's a little story.
Yeah.
I'm telling you how Justin came into my life,
Yeah.
right? So then PJ's like, all right, cool. You know, like, yeah, man, high school days, blah, blah, blah. I'm playing at Fullerton. And PJ was a walk-on, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, dude, that's cool. And PJ was like nothing special in high school, right? He was just
Yeah.
good. We were nothing special. Well, PJ ends up being like the captain the senior year.
Oh, wow.
And that's our senior year is the year we won the national title and stuff, right? At Cal State Fullerton.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, damn. You never know, you know, if the stars would have lined up.
Yeah.
But one time, PJ brought this little runt, you know, to class, and he's like, oh, my friend's going to sit with us, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, cool. I noticed he had this bright red hair, right?
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
No beard.
No beard. And he wasn't that tall. You know, I was taller than him. And I was
yeah.
like, all right, like, cool. So it was me, PJ, and Justin Turner.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm Justin. I was like, all right, cool. Nice to meet you, Artie, this and that. Not knowing that Justin would be the dude he is now, you know?
Yeah.
So and that was it, and we were taking a class in the auditorium, and you know, we would talk baseball, stuff like that. Oh, what position you play?
Yeah.
Oh, I play second. You any good? He's like, yeah, I'm pretty decent, this and that. I was like, all right, cool. Again, Justin wasn't even a starter on the team the year I met him.
Yeah.
You know, so then so that was that. Then ran into each other, like, again, another class with PJ, but that class wasn't like auditorium where you sit next to each other, so we didn't see each other much there.
Yeah.
But I mean, got to meet him before he ever really became, you know, Big Red, you know?
Big Red.
So
that's crazy.
Pretty cool. The dream.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my
That's
story.
crazy. That's pretty cool.
It is cool, man.
Did you go to school with anybody famous?
Israel Morales.
That's right. From How We Talk Podcast.
Yeah, from How We Talk Podcast. That's about it.
All
Right
one
now.
word.
That's funny.
All one word.
That's crazy. So, blowing out your knee ended that career.
Ended up there. I don't think I would have been much like a stud. I mean, I was a good high school player, decent college.
Oh yeah.
Nothing. I was too short. You know, the truth is, you got to have certain numbers.
Right.
If you're a certain height, you better be fast. If not, you better be this height. And that means you got to have some power. You know, there comes a lot of dynamics into it. And I didn't really fit into it. I did the most I could with what I had. You know, and took it as far as I could. And honestly, that's the furthest anybody in my family's gone. And so that's just what I'm most proud of. You know.
That's good.
So. Yeah.
So when did you start pursuing like journalism? Was it like at your start of college or in high school?
Yeah, well, so I ran into it. No, actually, you're right. Yeah, at the end of high school, my senior year, you know, I don't know if you guys remember, I know at my high school, but we started to try to have the walkouts. You had to do a senior project in order to graduate. Mm-hmm. And that was like big at my high school. We're like, oh, we had walkouts. We ain't doing no senior project our year, blah, blah, blah. So then, of course, you know, it just didn't work. And so we had to do a senior project. Yeah. So my senior project was I did a highlight tape of my senior year playing baseball. So that was my first taste of it. Yeah. I liked it, and that's why I wanted to get into broadcast journalism. But I went to ULAC, and they didn't have broadcast journalism; they had print journalism. Yeah. And then that's how I took that. You know, I walked in, added her class, ran into it there, and then I don't think I started taking it serious until I blew out my knee. But before that, like, I was like, oh, it's something to do, you know? Yeah. And I thought, oh, when I get a Fullerton, I'm going to do broadcast journalism anyways, right? But I guess my mind had shifted already by the time I got a Fullerton. I was already in print journalism, kind of like dug in deep. Because I tried at Fullerton to do the broadcast journalism. Yeah. And I was like, man, this just isn't for me. Like, I got there and I was just, I didn't like it. Yeah. And they had broadcast journalism, good program, and I didn't like it. So I said, all right, well, I'm going to go back to print journalism because, you know, teachers thought I was good at it. I didn't think I was good at it, but they're like, okay, they thought I was good at it. Yeah. And then that's how I ended up becoming a sports writer for a minute, you know?
Yeah. So from there and Cal State Fullerton, now you graduated, you did all that. Yeah. What degree did you get?
I got a bachelor's degree in communications with the emphasis in print journalism.
In print journalism. Yeah. Now, from there, you tried doing the whole sports writing. Didn't really work out. And now you're at?
We're hitting now I'm a teacher. As far as now I'm a teacher. I've been teaching. This is my 7th year at Summit High School in Fontana.
That's the shirt you're wearing right there?
Yeah, that's the shirt I'm wearing right now. We call it Summit on our chest, right? Gotta have that S on our chest all the time.
Summit on your chest?
Summit on our chest. Nice. That's what we call it. So then entering my 7th year at Summit High School, and I've been teaching a little over 10 years now in total. Wow. So I taught over here in Hacienda La Puente for three or 4 years. No, 3 years.
As a full-time
they were like long-term teaching positions. I didn't get permanent positions. Okay. So it's like they don't count it as a full-term teacher. So now I'm like, whatever, you know? Yeah. So same work, not the same pay, you know? Yeah. But close.
That's where you cut your teeth. You come over here.
And exactly. You just, you know, like you said, you get the experience, and then you go there, and you're like, you know, you pay your dues, right? Yeah. You pay your dues. So I paid my dues, Hacienda La Puente, then went over Fontana because they offered the permanent.
Now Fontana High School, or Summit High School is not an old school at all, right? It's pretty damn new, right?
Yeah, it's pretty new. And we have a guy that's famous. Well, getting to get famous, and watch his name. He's going to blow up this year. Okay. He's a guy you're going to like because you're a big USC football guy, aren't you? Yeah. All right, his name's Stephen Carr.
Stephen Carr,
the B running back. Shout out Stephen Carr. He knows who he is. Yeah. Stephen Carr, he was put on
with a K?
with the C, double R.
So he's not related to Derek Carr.
No. Different shade. Different shade. Yeah, different shade there. All right. Stephen Carr, great dude. Yeah. Good dude out of Summit High School. We have 3 guys in the pros right now in the NFL. Yeah.
Nice.
And again, they're kind of guys that are barely making their names, you know. Yeah. But Stephen Carr is going to be a big time player for USC this year. He's kind of their starting running back. He fell into that role towards the end. Started maybe 3 games last year. Had some dynamic games. Yeah. I think he scored 4 or 5 touchdowns for USC. Then he hurt his ankle, and then he had off-season back surgery, but now he's kind of back. Yeah. And he even got put on that Maxwell list for the top running back in the nation. Mm-hmm. So he's only a true sophomore. Damn. That's what's amazing. True sophomore. He's in the mold of like a Reggie Bush type of thing. Uh-huh. A dude that catches the ball really well in the backfield. Yeah. Has those lightning quick moves on the outside, but could bust through the middle a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Nice.
But won't necessarily run you over, you know, because Reggie Bush didn't run people over, but man, he'd leave you in the dust and he'd juke you out of your shoes, you know.
Hopefully he doesn't follow his footsteps though. And,
hey, but he made it to the NFL though.
His college career. Yeah, that's
the way it went down. Probably,
just the way it went down though. You know.
So,
but we wish him the best.
Yeah. But the 12 years in existence, and we already got some pros. We had a girl go to the WNBA.
Oh wow.
We have three NFL players. We have I want to say 10 college players right now. We have another dude at UCLA, another dude at Boise, another guy at Indiana State. Yeah. So we got them all over the place. You know, they're coming up.
Who's your guys' rival over there? Is it Edewanda?
Kaiser. Edewanda's more of a friendly rivalry because we're just across each other, the 15. So like every year we start our preseason with the fight for 15. Yeah. That's a rivalry game. Mm-hmm. But it's more of a friendly rivalry. It's not something that's too bad. Yeah. The one that's heated more is Kaiser. You know, okay. Kaiser's kind of
the bad blood.
Yeah, that's the bad blood rivalry right there because they're across town. You know, we're north side, they're south side. Oh yeah. You know, so
once you start implementing those sides, forget about it.
It gets dangerous there. You know, you gotta watch what colors you're wearing and stuff like that too. Damn. So so Kaiser's kind of the one that's a rival, and not just in football, like in every sport.
I mean, it's just school. They're just high school rivals.
Yeah, they're high school rivals. Doesn't matter what it is. That's who we want to beat. We lose all the other games. Beat Kaiser, we're good. You know, like it's like that.
So are you coaching over there?
Yeah, I've coached 6 different sports in total, and I'm coaching 2 this year. Damn. So
before you say anything, this guy, let me tell you right now. He mentioned it earlier. He was taking a challenge, right? He accepts it. He before he even says it right now, he was a soccer coach, or he still is a soccer coach, probably. Right? Are you still
coaching
soccer? Does he ever play soccer ever? No. Dude never played soccer, but he was given a challenge.
I played FIFA a couple times.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty good at it.
That's finger soccer.
Yeah. Pretty good at
That's
it.
finger soccer.
You never know.
But he took that challenge, dude, and he's a soccer coach. I'm like, this guy. Huh. Yeah. But that's what you get when you have a natural athlete that could just pick up on anything, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So
how's your experiences with that?
Soccer, and again, I know we joke about it, but how I won the guys over was I challenged them to a little tournament of FIFA. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, you know nothing about soccer because you never played it. And I'm like, so my sister played it, you know? Like, I went to our games, you know, type of thing. And I know a little bit, not in detail, probably the way you do. You know, you're a soccer family. You know, I'm not a soccer family. My sister played soccer because she fell into it accidentally. Right. But so then I challenged them, like, all right, I know a little soccer. Nah, no, you don't. I was like, all right. So I brought the PS4 over to the school one day, and I said, all right, let's see who could take me down at FIFA. Whoever takes me down gets free lunch, right? Did I lose a game?
Nothing.
Nope. Not one game. One dude gave me a run, though. I'm not going to lie. One dude gave me a run. I had to beat him penalties. Yeah. But not one game did I lose, right? And I'm pretty good at it.
You paid them all.
Yeah. Every single one. So... And they were just like, all right, cool. So from that moment on, they're like, all right, we'll listen to him, you know, we'll hear what he has to say and stuff like that.
That's how you gain their confidence.
Yeah. So now that's kind of, but it's a new group this year, so I might have to bring the PS4 back, you know, and slap some buddy around again, you know. That's the way it is sometimes.
That's freshman or JV?
JV. So this year, JV soccer.
Nice.
So yeah.
So you said 6 different sports?
6 different sports, I believe, throughout my tenure at Summit. And the craziest sport was cheer. I did coach 2 years of cheer. Yeah. Cheer, and if you don't know, now you know. Summit's a 5-time national champ.
Damn.
For cheers, 5 times.
Congratulations.
Were you coaching during those times?
Yes, I coached during their last one. We haven't won it the past 2 years, so we're kind of hungry for it. And this year's group's real good. Yeah. Real good. We had a little downslope for 2 years. They weren't bad. They just weren't national champs type of good, you know? Yeah. But this year's group is real good. And I'm not coaching now, but I coached on the last one that they won the national title. So and that was a pretty cool experience. You know?
How did you get into the cheer? I mean, what?
By accident. You know, I'm just a dude that likes sports. I know the mental part of sports. I know the discipline part. Yeah. I know the training and how to stay mentally tough. Yeah. And the inspiration part. I'm really good at inspiring athletes. Yeah. Like I could convince you to run through a wall and make you believe that you'll be safe at the end of it. Yeah. So they'll start to trust you, and as soon as you gain their trust, magic happens, you know. Yeah. That soccer team, you know, we won the league title that year. I caught it. I had never coached soccer before. I never played soccer before.
Yeah.
You know, but we want a league title because, you know, they believe that trust, you know.
Yeah.
Last year, I hadn't coached baseball in a minute. I've never coached at Summit. Won a league title, right? Cheer. Never coached cheer. Won a national title.
Nice.
You know, and I wasn't the head coach. Don't get me wrong. I was an assistant coach.
Yeah.
But I was in charge of the head coach of the JV, and we had a JV national title.
Nice.
You know, but again, not that I knew anything. It was like, I'm gonna let the head coach kind of teach them, and then I'm gonna motivate them. You know, I'm gonna mold them, inspire them, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's he's a friend of mine. He needed help. He needed somebody that'd be the figurehead for JV cheer. And he said, dude, you're good with kids. They'll follow you. Just be you, and let me coach them the technical part. And the rest will work itself out. And honestly, he was right. So I did it for 2 years, and then it was time to part ways. You know, it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But did my best I could.
We know that's what makes a good manager or coach is being able to motivate and inspire the kids. You know, because they're there. Most of the kids are there for a reason. They know how to play. They like playing. They know how to play. It's just someone has to push them to it, or get the best out of them. Right. And that's where you come in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coaches. It's all X's and O's, and it's not all X's and O's.
A lot of managers.
And a lot of,
Yeah.
a lot of managers. Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Anything, and you did mention that you were, or actually I saw on your Instagram, that you're doing like a TV production kind of thing too?
Yeah.
Like, was that acting? And you doing like
sometimes.
like an SNL kind of thing?
So once in a while. So a couple years ago, same thing. I was, like you said, I was given a challenge, and they said, hey, you used to be a sports writer. You wanted to take over the TV production program at Summit? And I was like, you know, that's different, right? Sports writing and then TV production, they're not quite the same.
Right.
They're like, yeah, but, you know, we think you'd be good at it. I was like, all right, I'll give it a try, you know. So they just gave me one class. So it wasn't even program. You know, to them, one class was a program at the time because that's what was there. Mm-hmm. So they said, all right, take over it, see what you do. What do you need to get started? And I'm like, let me do some research because I don't do this, right?
Right.
So did the research, stuff like that. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. Hey, I need this, this, and that. This is a minimum I need just to get that. Okay, how much?
So this is a new program?
Yeah, new program. Okay. Yeah, new old program. It was just one class. Now it's actual program.
Okay.
Before it was one class, I don't want to call it a program back then. You know? But now it's a program. Now so it's full blown. You know? So I got the challenge. We got it up and going. Aired our first show 5 years ago now. By the week before Thanksgiving was the first time we aired our first show, and ever since then it's been every Friday. Once September hits, because we always start school, at least my district starts a little bit early in August, and once September hits, we air our first show every single Friday. And sometimes we're a Wednesday or a Monday message type of special, things like that. And we do, you know, all kinds of work. And you know what? It did so well that I ended up winning Teacher of the Year, like my third year teaching there. Nice. And then I ended up winning District Teacher of the Year, which I'm like the only person ever to win that at Summit High School. Yeah. And then I was a runner-up for the County Teacher of the Year. Damn. So, cool. And I tell them, like, it's not anything I necessarily did. It's what my kids did because they're right there with me. And that's, again, it's me coaching in the classroom. Yeah. They're like, hey, we could do this together. Let's do this together. Like, this is what we could achieve. Tell me what you need. How can I help you? This and that. Because I didn't do any of the work, you know? I just helped them get to wherever they want to get to. And the rest worked out. So when we get all this hardware and walk into my class and you see all these trophies, and everybody's like, oh, damn, you want all those trophies? I was like, no, we want all those trophies. Like, that's a product of everybody, not just anything I did, you know? Type of deal. So that's a little story right there with that.
That is cool. Yeah. How does that feel to have a group of kids for such a long time and then to have a whole fresh ones, like you know, the whole goodbyes and everything? And then,
jeez, it's killer, man. It's emotional, and I'm a very emotional person, so it's really hard. But I think that's what the kids why the kids gravitate towards me, and they constantly tell me, you know, that is what gravitates them towards me, is that I try not to think about it, because then you're cheating them. You're like, oh, I'm gonna hold back, you know, because you're not gonna be here next year, or this and this and that. I just give them everything I got. Yeah. And then the next year, some of them return, you know, like this year, I think I have 5 returners from last year's group this year. And then next year I'll have 4 returners from that group. Yeah. You know, so it's like, I have a couple, you know, and those become my leaders in the program and stuff like that. So like, you miss the bulk of them. There's some that are special that you've had for 4 years. Those are probably the ones that hurt the most.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool to see them grow up too,
Yeah.
and then see how like they'll
Rewarding,
text me.
right?
Yeah, you know, like I follow them on social media. It makes it so much easier. I tell them like, hey, follow me, this and this and that, and it just makes it easier to stay in touch. You know, like one of them had a kid, and they invited me for the baptism, stuff like that, and it's really nice to see them grow up. It makes me feel old, but at the same time, it's like it's cool to see them growing up,
That's cool.
and nice to that, when they, I mean, how many teachers you still get a hold of?
Oh yeah, I'm done.
And and I don't have one single teacher that I get a hold of, and I could tell you I've been teaching at this school for 7 years, and I have kids that from my first year still get a hold of me.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, type of thing. Like, yeah,
that's good.
So and I can't tell you that I ever had that relationship with anybody.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's like you said, you get emotional and then stuff like that. It's like, you because you grow attached to these kids. You're there. You're with them sometimes with them more than they are with their families.
Yeah, more than your own kid.
Right, than your own parents. Yeah, and your own kid. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What do I was just thinking about. I was thinking about my shirt.
I was actually gonna bring that up right now.
Yeah. What going into like a school year? Do you guys more now than ever before prepare for active shooters and stuff?
You know what we have in the past? So 2 years ago, we had literally like an active shooter, like the Fontana PD came and trained us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, this is what you do, this, like, and I want to know every bit, like, tell me, wow, I'm like just a sponge. Every little inch, every little second helps,
Yeah.
like little things like locking your door, having a certain knock for how to get in. I mean, just closing blinds, turning off the lights, getting under your desk. I have a studio in my class. Hey, getting into that studio because nobody else has that key.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a huge studio, but it's big enough to fit all my kids in there.
Yeah.
I'm on a 2-story school, so like, okay, if I'm right next to an elevator, so if I hear an elevator, if I hear something come across a ramp, right? Because I'm the only class in that corner.
Mm-hmm.
So every little advantage. So they kind of trained us on that. And what's a trip too is Fontana. I could be wrong, but I know it was like all over national TV and stuff like that. We're the only ones that have a AR. Is it AR?
Mm-hmm.
A AR on campus. It's locked up.
Oh, really?
Wrong, but we have an AR on campus for our campus security to bust out in case they need it.
Wow.
And I don't want to say just Summit, but our district.
Okay.
I believe every school site has one AR locked up in the office that is necessary, when needed. But again, our district, I know, it was a big deal because it was all over the news and stuff like that.
That's huge.
So
that brings up so much questions and just controversy
for sure. Because my next follow-up question to that was gonna be, how do you feel about if they were to ever pass that law that was suggested not so long ago, arming teachers?
Oh, I mean, I'd be all for it because I am a teacher, know. Yeah. But you know some teachers, and you're like, damn, like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
that dude should have one, like, man.
There's that one teacher that,
you're like,
damn,
dude, that's crazy.
That type of thing.
It's crazy that you just said they have an AR on campus.
AR on campus.
Because ARs is what they're trying to get rid of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's no different than a hunting rifle. You know what I mean?
Right.
My brain's just going wild.
It's a trip.
Yeah.
A trip.
Well, from what I remember, there's a lot of those rifles that can be turned into ARs, right?
Right.
Right.
So,
yeah, and we've had our fair share of scares at our school.
Mm-hmm.
That I could think of.
Were they just like threats or actual?
They're threats, but they're like pretty serious type of threats where you're like, oh damn,
a threat is a threat.
Yeah, because they were like on TV type of threats, and we had like eyewitness, news cameras and their vans all over school, and we're like, what's going on here, type of thing.
A threat nowadays is a lot different from a threat than when we were in high school. You know
what
I mean?
Yeah.
It should be. It's taken way more
crazy.
serious.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The biggest one that again I could think of was 2 or 3 years ago. We have a thing that's called the color rally, right?
Yeah.
So each class has their colors. So let's say I don't remember all the colors right now, but it's like yellow, orange, green, and red, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then this dude was like a senior and he was red, right? So he said, and the juniors were yellow, right? And of course, there's always like a little rivalry within the school, like seniors and juniors,
right,
freshmen and sophomores type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So this dude posed with his ARs And he said, I'm going hunting for anybody that's wearing yellow tomorrow.
Oh.
Right?
Yeesh.
And it was the day of the color rally, so everybody's scared to death wearing yellow,
Yeah.
at the color rally. So, of course, needless to say, that dude got, arrested.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was like a big deal.
You can't joke around about that
Yeah, and it
stuff
was on
anymore.
social media.
That's good though.
So, yeah, that was
Whether
crazy.
he was joking or not, it was a threat that was put out there.
Yeah. And like you said, they can't be taken lightly anymore.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's crazy, It's crazy. And we just had students that a month ago, I think it was a month ago, that shot another student because he didn't want to get out of the front seat.
What?
Yep.
This is on campus?
No.
Off-site somewhere?
Yeah, off-site. We just went into summer break and they were friends or whatever. And, the
Damn.
dude,
That's very
one
disappointing.
guy was like in the front seat and the other guy really wanted the front seat and he pulled out the gun and he said, get out of the front seat too. And the crazy thing is, the one driving was one of what we call my TV pros, right?
Oof.
Like we're called TV pros.
Yeah.
He was one of my TV pros, so that's how I found out all the information. I was
Yeah.
like, damn. Like he told me, and I knew the kid. The kid wasn't a TV pro, but I knew the kid, and I had him at like a student in PE class his freshman year, which is a minute ago, but still I remember him and seeing him around campus and stuff like that. And the kid that did the shooting, I didn't know him. Apparently he had gone into my class a couple times, but it's not a kid I would know, So it's just over silly things, dude. Front seat, got shot and killed.
There's some people that have been shot for less, though, unfortunately. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you guys have evacuation drills or something like that? 'Cause
They
I
do,
remember
but
growing up, all we had was earthquake drills, and that's about it.
Yeah, same
Fire
thing.
drills.
But I just don't think they pursue them a lot, And then we have so many false alarms now. That's probably the hardest thing. And then a lot of teachers don't take these false alarms serious, right?
Mm.
And it's funny because I come out and I take them serious every single time. Like I'm like, better safe than sorry,
Yeah.
So I come out and there's another teacher that could like see at an angle in the hallway, and I always come out and I have the weakest angle because I'm in a corner, so I can only see like so much, right? And he has a better like view of his things. So I was like, I always tell him, hey, we good? Like I give him the look and he's like, yeah, we're good. Like he'll look, all right, we're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I swear it's just me and him that come out of the classrooms, and in between us there's got to be at least 10 more teachers, and out of 10 only 2 come out. Like that's a trip. So, and again, my kids know, my kids are prepared. I train my kids within my classes.
Yeah.
But I can't say that every teacher does,
Yeah.
Like, and but I don't
You've
know.
been put on blast, teachers over there at Summit.
until it happens
Yeah.
close to you or at your school, they won't take it serious.
Yeah, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're at right now, though. In
Yeah.
society,
So.
a lot of us are oblivious to it until it actually happens.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow.
I was just sorry about that, but I was thinking about it because of the shirt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's way more present now than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I don't know Fontana that much, but when people talk about Fontana, it's more of a ghetto area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think every city has a ghetto.
Every city
Every
has a
city has a ghetto, and I lived in Fontana for a while. Okay, when I got married, I went and I lived out there for 2 years. I bought a house out there. I heard them all. Fonturkey.
Right.
I've heard most of those.
Yeah.
It's windy out there. I mean, you can't barbecue. Like I've heard all these things. This negative stuff about it. It's not as bad as it is out here. I mean, it's not
Pretty
worse
much the same.
there than it is here.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not. So I wouldn't say it's ghetto.
Sorry, Fontana.
Yeah. It's all good.
Right.
Maybe it used to be back in the day.
Maybe it was known for some bad parts of it, but it's been
It's cleaned
developing
up.
so
Yeah.
much. Yeah,
Yeah, that was the other
it's
thing.
Well,
gotten bigger.
For
so-
example, where Summit's at, that used to just be empty lot.
yeah,
That whole area, though, like the shopping center where there's at now, there's a Target in that area. There's a
Right.
golf course. There's
Yeah.
all the houses. Like
Yeah.
that was all empty. It was all
Yeah.
just plains. You used to remember on 210, you get on the 15, and it was just all
Yeah.
open fields.
yeah,
And now it's just a development. It's a city.
yeah.
You know.
It's gotten big, and the houses there are huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some
No
of those
backyards,
some of those
yeah.
houses are like 3-story houses. Man.
Yeah. No backyards though.
No,
You could lean over
yeah.
and pass the soap to your neighbor.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. They're really tight.
Did you struggle like getting into your career prior to your career now?
As a sports writer?
Yeah.
You mean like his path, the path that he took there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did, because you know what? Looking back at it now, now as I'm an adult, I feel like my brain expanded or got really developed as I got older. Because I wasn't a good student growing up. I was more of a travieso, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But looking back now, as a teacher, I think I know why I was a travieso, because I honestly believe I was an EL student.
Mm-hmm.
You know, English was...
for the ones that don't know Spanish, travieso is troublemaker.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, and Mom used to tell me, you know, I was on a first name basis with the principal because of you, not because of my sister, but because of me, right? And I knew karate, and I still remember some of the things and stuff like that I did. I'll never forget, like in kinder, I pushed this kid down a hill because he didn't want to play kickball with me, right?
Yeah.
And I'd like still have that picture in my head. Why did I do it? You know, I was your little kid and stuff like that, and I just kept getting in fights. And the biggest one was like a sixth grader came over to our side of the playground because there was like this yellow line that, you know, 4, 5, and 6 stay at on this side, and 1, 2, 3 stay on this side. And I was, you know, the Billy Badass from, you know, the third graders on this side. So this dude came over, and I told him like, hey, these are our monkey bars and blah blah blah. And he clocked me, and even though, you know, I got up and got one punch in and got clocked again. But you know, the truth is, I think I was a EL student, so I was more of a visual learner, and it took me a long time to really get that, because, you know, I would listen to lectures or whatever, you know, and a lot of old school teaching is mainly just talking to you instead of showing you, right? Yeah. So I struggled through elementary. I can't tell you, you know, I don't know. See, and I have this theory, like if you're student of the month and you're the student of the month in June, you're like the last dude to get picked for student month, you know? Yeah. And I always used to get my student month in like May or June, you know? My sister would get in like freaking September, October, right? But I'd always somehow end up in May or June, you know?
Yeah, it's like, who hasn't gotten it yet?
Yeah, damn, okay,
Artie.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't got it, all right? Yeah. Did you get any fights this week? No, you're up, you know? Right. Type of thing. So, yeah, so I struggled elementary. Middle school started getting a little bit better, but then I had the shell shock of switching schools. You know, I went from growing up in La Puente to Covina, where I knew nobody, you know, nobody. And then, but I got a little bit better at school. And then the big break came literally on break. I broke my wrist, right, playing football my 8th grade year. So then I no longer had sports to fall back on, right, because I was always a good athlete. And I was like, oh, okay, you kind of just get by enough to play sports, right, to make, you know, the school happy, parents happy, like, okay, hey, he's not failing, you know, he's not passing or doing great, but he's not failing. Yeah. So let him play sports, right?
At least he's not out on the street being a knucklehead.
Exactly.
He's playing sports.
Yeah. So then I didn't have sports, right, for a minute. So I missed basketball season. And then I noticed I just started doing my work, right? Not even like studying for tests or anything. And I came home with my first like 3.0, right? And it was like a big deal because, you know, you make the dean's list, stuff like that, whatever level it is. But I had a 3.0. And so then I'm like, oh, man, this isn't as hard as I think if I just put a little effort, right? So then, I did well, and I finished maybe with a 3.5 or something, right? Did well. So then I go to Covina my freshman year. And again, I go back to struggling. I didn't play freshman football because I didn't live in the area where I went to school, Covina. Again, I was commuting from La Puente to Covina, so I didn't go to summer ball because you have to go to summer camp. I just didn't have the ride to be going in the summer. Now, if they would have let me play football without going to the summer camps, I would probably play football for them. Yeah. But because I played in 8th grade and 7th grade at Trawick, right? And but I didn't play freshman year over there. So then I just played basketball and baseball. And again, I struggled. I had a 1.9 GPA. Never forget that. You know, I was barely, they put me on academic probation. Yeah. And I think they only put me academic probation because they knew I was really good at baseball. So they're like, oh, well, we need this guy for baseball, blah, blah, blah. Because, I mean, you're not supposed to be playing on that, right? And you have one academic probation that you could use in your tenure during your high school career. So I used it in my freshman year, right? Yeah. So then I played freshman ball, and then that's, you know, I switched schools. And when I switched schools, I kind of came back to more comfort zone, or it's more Latinos and stuff like that. I went to Workman High School in La Puente. And honestly, that's where I found, like, my groove, you know? I became a 3.5 GPA student. It was a hair too late because my counselor at Workman didn't tell me that I needed to have all C's or higher to go straight into Cal State Fullerton. And before I found that out, it was too late. And I had a D at Covina that I didn't make up in an English class, like one semester or something like that. Yeah. And that got that rejected me from getting into Cal State Fullerton straight out of high school. So then, and I found that out in the middle of baseball season. This was a tough thing. It was like, okay, I was working, playing baseball, and going to school. So I didn't have time to go to night school to make it up because I was right in the middle of baseball season. If I was not an athlete, it would have been easy. Just go to night school and make it up. Not a problem because you're already at the end of your high school career.
Right.
I didn't know. So then that's when I chose the option of like, okay, well, I'm just going to go to JUCO at ELAC, play a little baseball there. I grew up part of my life in East LA when I was younger up until I was like 6. And it makes more sense and then transfer out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my story in terms of adolescence growing up into it, you know?
Yeah.
And it, again, literally took a break before I started to realize, like, hey, I'm not dumb, you know? You just need to put a little effort and learn a different way.
Yeah.
You know? So.
At what grade level do you think would you advise someone out there if they were going to pursue trying to avoid going to a JUCO and going straight to like a Cal State or a university?
So
at what age should they start developing those classes and really seeking that out?
So I personally believe JUCOs are like only the strong survive. You know, for one, they're overpopulated now. So it makes it even harder to get classes, which makes it longer for you to graduate, to get out of there. You know, they're just so overpopulated. So you want to try avoid it as much as you can. And if you go in there, I'm not a big believer on AA degrees, right? Like, yeah, they're cool to have, but as soon as you get your BA, the AA becomes obsolete, you know, because it's like, who talks about their AA degree? Like, I have an AA. I can't tell you I put it on any resumes, you know. I'm talking about bachelor's. Everybody wants to know, well, where'd you get your bachelor's? Where'd you get your master's? Stuff like that, right? And so there's no point in getting your AA out of junior college. Just get your transfer, get out of there. Go get your BA. Once you do your BA, okay, do whatever you want to do, type of thing. But again, getting back to that, if you, at what age, I believe junior high is such a pivotal point for kids in education. You know, I feel like that's where they're on the fence, and they're either going to go this way or they're going to go that way, you know? And it's up to you and me as a teacher to help them, like, hey, come over here. It's not that hard. This is just what you got to do. Let me teach you how to learn, type of thing, you know? Like, this is what you got to do to get better. It's not that hard. Just give me a little effort. And then once you get that taste of, like, success, you're like, oh, man, I don't want that B. I want that A. You know, like, I'm at a B+ right now. What do I got to do to get that A-? Oh, yeah. You know, then A-, like, oh, how do I get that minus off? You know, stuff like that. And that's to me, teaching and where you want to get your kids is give them that little taste of success. Get them to that B-, you know, because a B- is just going to taste so much better than a C+, you know? And a B-, then they're going to figure out how to get that minus off. And then they're going to be like, hey, I'm really close to an A. What do I got to do, you know, to get that A? And all it is just a little bit of time, a little bit of effort. And I can honestly tell you, I've never been one that studies for tests. Yeah, I do study at time. But even when I study, I'm not super successful. But I'm that dude that has always done the work, you know, like it's always done well, not always, you know, because I told you as I got older. But as I got older, I said, man, most of my efforts come from getting the work done ahead of time, and you naturally learn to memorize the work or whatever. And then it makes it easier because you're putting more than half of the battle, or you're winning more than half the battle right there. And that's the same thing I preach to my kids. Like, hey, don't worry about your test scores. Let's do all the work right now so that when you get your test score, that just helps your grade a little bit or keeps that fluff, you know? It doesn't kill your grade. And a lot of people try to say, oh, well, I'll get my grade up when I take the test. They're counting on doing well on the test to get their grade up.
Meanwhile, all the work was all left behind. And
so, and if you don't, if you don't do well on your test, what are you gonna do? You know, you're like, oh, let me make up that work, and you're like, man, now it's worth half the points. Like, you know. So, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's the strategy I would use. You know?
I mean, normally I heard a lot. You know, growing up was like, junior year or your junior year, sophomore year, sophomore, junior year, you should have started taking those courses. And from the sounds of it, it's like, no, junior high.
Right.
You said junior high.
That's where it starts to me really turning pivotal. Because it really starts at the junior high level, and then freshman level is always a transition year because you're just getting adjusted. You're just to the life is different. It's a little faster, and it's the same way in college. Once you go to college, it's a little faster. It's a little different, you know. And it's the same thing like with playing sports. You know, it's just a little faster every level you go up. You know, a little faster, and it takes time for you to adjust. And I think the biggest adjustment is those junior high years. You're gonna change a little bit, but it's the point where you're gonna see a big change. You're either really gonna go left or gonna really go right. You know. So, and it's just,
And I'm sure that's going to be one of those difficult issues too, because that's when you're changing as far as like into almost young adulthood.
You're right.
You know,
Person
that junior high. Yeah.
How old is your son? Like, for example?
Well, he's 7.
7. Okay,
Going
that puts him
on
in 3rd grade?
He's in first, going on 2nd grade.
Oh, first going in
second grade tomorrow.
Okay.
Whatever,
See,
Wednesday.
there you go.
Yeah.
See? So you got some time.
Oh, yeah, we got some time. But
You always kind of still progress to it. You don't want it to just wait to then. You know, you're progressing,
Yeah.
progressing. Type of thing.
Every year, I mean, I want to start giving him goals.
Right.
You know, give him those 3, 5. I mean, I wasn't doing that in the past, and I think now he's at that age where I'm gonna start giving him those goals because he understands those. You know, and he loves when he succeeds. You know, he loves getting that A. He loves getting that pat on the back.
Right. And they say praise loudly and reprimand softly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm big on, like, when I reprimand, unless it's putting someone else in danger, I usually like, hey, come over here. Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing wrong, dude. Like, this is why,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But if it's putting someone else in danger, it's got to be instant, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, big thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm a firm believer as a teacher, like, if you're constantly mad and screaming, you lose your effect on the kids.
Oh, yeah.
So you save it, you know, for, like, that when you need it and you need that attention. If not, most of us are like, hey, come here. Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you real quick. And that works so much because I grew up with the mentality, at least for me, you know, because, again, I have parents that speak both English and Spanish. That's another thing that's really different from me compared to most parents, you know, who or kids our age, you know, they're our first generation. Yeah, you know, their primary language is Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents speak both English and Spanish without much of an accent, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first thing that they're like, damn, your parents speak English? Like, that's the first thing.
Yeah.
And they were born in Mexico, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm first generation born here, and they're like, yeah, wow, like, that's a trip, you know?
Yeah.
So, one, that kind of helps. But I grew up with the mentality, my dad was still a little tougher and stuff like that. But my mom was a disciplinarian in ours. But, you know, the big thing, and I tell kids and people, you're going to get more out of people if you ask them for stuff instead of tell them.
Yeah.
So when a kid's acting bad or something, I'll be like, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you do this? Something like that. Give them some kind of sense of responsibility or leadership.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn, you'll get so much more out of them by making them an ally as opposed to an opponent or something like that, you know? Yeah. And you try it. And again, it's not going to work every single time. There's other strategies you could use. But let me tell you, that one, it works so well. And I do it all the time.
I'm sure you didn't get those Teacher of the Year awards and stuff like that for being a teacher that yells and stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean?
Right.
I know my sister-in-law, she's a teacher, and I know that she's gotten a few awards like that from the district and all that stuff. So me personally, I think that teachers aren't thanked enough. They also aren't paid enough.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy.
No, I agree. Yeah.
But we get enough vacation though. That's nice.
you do get a lot of vacation, but thanks for being that teacher, you know, because I always remember the cool teachers, or the people that not just the cool teachers, but the ones that made class fun, and that they made the impact. Those are the ones I remember.
Yeah. Like you weren't taking that online course when it was just that guy right there in front of you just reading off of a book and that's it, and just like I didn't get anything after that, you know.
Right.
I'm sure nowadays you have a teacher like that, these kids just take their phone out and start you know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just learn to teach with the kids that now age. You learn to adapt, and if every year if you're teaching the same way, the same thing, you're doing something wrong. Yeah, you know, you're doing something wrong. You got to learn to adapt with the kids, and I think that's one big strength for me, and one thing I try to do to help the kids. I don't do it to like, oh, hey, pat myself on the back. I do it to make my job a little easier and to help the students. You know, because that's ultimately what it is. You know? And it's pretty cool. And it's the smallest things like that go a long way. And sometimes you don't know as a teacher. You just don't know what the kid's going through. And you don't know what kid you're going to reach out to or what kid listening or seeing you do something that's just like going to change their lives, you know? And the ones that have impacted me the most is when I found out afterwards what they were going through. And you're just like, oh, damn. Like, I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I did that, you know? Stuff like that. Like, I know I got stories to share days for you guys, but one of the cool ones, too, was I thought the world of this one girl, you know? I thought she was awesome, TV pro, went way and above beyond anything I needed help with or projects she would do, right? And I just thought she was a star, right? But apparently she's not the star in her family because her sister was like the valedictorian at UCLA and stuff like that. And this girl wasn't dumb, dude. She's at UC Riverside. I think she's a senior this year.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and I didn't know she had that sister, and she didn't know that I didn't know. So I never treated her differently, right? Like, oh man, you're the little sister of that girl, right? So, and I didn't know because that girl was there before I ever knew, before I got to Summit, right? Mm-hmm. So then, like, they asked me to talk about this little girl for a program called AVID. And AVID is traditionally for us, first generation, not necessarily Latinos, but first generation students whose parents are born in a foreign country.
Okay.
Traditionally,
right.
The bulk of them, right? And so her parents, you know, born in Mexico, stuff like that. And they asked them, like, oh, you know, can you write something or say something on behalf? So I said something, right? Oh my God, I guess the mom started bawling. Oh, I didn't know my mija was like this and that she was that and she was this and this and that. Because again, they had the golden star over there. And, you know, sometimes, you know, the other child gets a little lost. And, and the girl was like, oh, you made my day. Because it was a surprise for them. The teacher came and asked me to talk about them and stuff like that. And again, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know. And they're like, oh, man, you know, her sister's a star. Yeah. Stuff like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Pretty cool, you know. Another time, oh man, I gotta share this other one. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking too much, you know.
No, that's what it is. It's a podcast. We're talking about a podcast.
So this other time, because I thought it was one of the cool things, right? So again, the kid he's a good kid with me, but you just don't know how they are away from their class, right? Because you treat them differently, so you can't treat them based on how they're acting in a different class. You're like, hey, you know, you cool with me? You're in my class. You're doing this. You're doing what I asked you. Good things are gonna happen, blah blah blah. We're not gonna have problems, blah blah blah, right? Yeah. So I don't remember the kid's name. I want to say it was Jaime Ramirez. But I'll never forget, he was Skyhawk of the Week in my class one time, this and this and that. And I tell him, hey, boom, here's a pen and pad. Who do you want me to call for your parents or whatever? Whoever you want me to talk to about you, you write it down, and I'm gonna call them, right? Yeah. So I would do that like once a week, you know, blah blah blah, or every 2 weeks, whenever I could, right? Yeah. So, you know, he put the name down and I call and it's his dad, right? And he's a mechanic just like my dad, right? Yeah. And he's a mechanic and he's like, this is a crank call. This and that. He thought I sounded really young for one. He's like, I was like, oh no, I understand. I'm a younger teacher, but no, this is his teacher, you know, his third period, blah blah blah. Yeah. And he's you're calling for Jaime? Like Jaime, like not you know, or is this, you know, are you sure this isn't a crank call? And I was like, no, sir, like, you know what, come over here. He's an awesome student in my class. He's got one of the highest grades. He's got like 95%. This and this and that. And he's like, Jaime, like Jaime, and I'm like, yeah, Jaime, you know, he's light skinned, this and this and that. And he's like, oh wow, all right, like that type of thing, right? Yeah. So then Jaime comes the next Monday, right? Because it's usually I would do it on a Friday or something like that. And I usually try to do it like during football season because I would stay and watch the football games anyways, Friday night lights and stuff like that. So then Monday comes, like, oh man, my parents let me pick what food we were going to eat on Friday night, what restaurant we went to. They got me these new shoes because you called and, you know, I was Skyhawk of the Week and stuff like that. And I would pass out certificates and the kids would like keep it in their folders even all the way through their senior year and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's like the littlest things, dude. You know, like it's just a little certificate you print out on a printer and put their name on it. Yeah. And it's like gold to them, you know. And it's small.
But it's not like just that. Paper, you know. It's something. It's just it's something big for them, you know. Yeah. Especially for some kid that's, you know, messing around a lot and then
And you just never know. Yeah. You never know what, because again, you see them in your class, you're like, oh, this dude's awesome everywhere, right? Yeah. You know, no, it's just your class. You're like, oh damn. You know, but good kid, you know, good kid. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's that story on that one.
Nice. So, damn, dude. Well, we want to thank you for coming out, sharing your story.
Anytime.
It sounds like you got more to share, so we'll have you for another one. We can do another follow-up with you.
Always. Anytime, especially baseball.
End of the year.
Yeah, end of the year. School's out.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, whenever. I'm always.
But yeah, you know what? Really quickly, since you did mention baseball right now, let's talk a little bit Dodgers, just real quick.
All right.
I know we're trying to wrap this up, but so what do you think? What do you think about the season this year for our Dodgers?
I feel like it seems like we're we're struggling. We haven't hit that quite mojo moment yet. Yeah. You know, which
Like
I don't know whether it's
we're
good or
getting
bad.
there,
Yeah,
and then we just
and then like
it
you know,
falls down.
2 steps forward, 1 step back type of
Yeah.
thing. You know, right at the beginning of the year, we got off to a slow start, which we always do, right?
Right.
And I always tell, you know, because I'm such a huge fan, and everybody likes to talk smack, especially with, like at school, you know, where
Yeah.
you're the teacher and everybody hates your team, you know,
Yeah.
for the most
Yeah.
part, type of thing. And I say, talk to me in June, you know, once it really starts mattering where we're at in the standings. So sure enough, you know, we take over first place right as we're heading into the All-Star break, which I kind of figured we would, right?
Right.
And then we get over the big hump of, okay, Justin Turner's on the DL to start the year. Okay, then what happens? Very next thing, Corey Seager's out for the year.
For the year.
Okay, then we get Justin Turner back, goes back on the DL. Nice surprises with Matt Camp and Muncy. Like, oh, okay, stud, right? Kike's dropping bombs but not hitting for average. Chris Taylor, something wrong with his swing, leading the NL in strikeouts. And
Cody
then now,
Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger's not being Cody, you know, but he has a long swing. Reminds me a little bit of Sean Green.
Yeah.
But, you know, when he connects, you know,
Right.
they go a long way. And so it just seems like we have the right pieces, but they're not all working at the same time, you know.
Yeah.
And now, you know, we're again 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Kenley Jansen,
Mhm.
and he's a big mystery because we don't know when he's going to be back. You know,
Right.
as early as September, the first week of September, as late as the last week of September.
Yeah.
That's huge, you know. We got the wild card with Julio Urias.
Urias.
Yeah, in the minor leagues, and we're like, okay, we're.
Well, he's already starting to pitch, right?
Yeah, he already started. He's made two. I don't want to say starts, but he's made 2 appearances.
Yeah.
You know, and he's supposed to be our savior come September, our long guy out of the bullpen. You know,
But I don't see him as a starter. I
he's
see
not.
him coming
He's
in
gonna
as a
be.
reliever.
He's gonna be a reliever,
You're
but
long reliever, but
you know what? I don't see him being a long reliever. I see him coming in as being a closer.
really,
Well, I mean, if Kenley Jansen's not there and you got a dude that's electric, what are you gonna go with?
yeah,
The electric guy, right?
yeah,
I mean, why not? Gagne did it.
yeah,
You know, I know I would go with the electric guy.
yeah.
So, I mean, but again, that's me. If I'm foreshadowing and thinking like, hey, don't be surprised, you know,
Yeah.
just throwing something out there.
Yeah.
That's what I could see happening. What I don't understand is how they just sent 2 right-handed pitchers to the bullpen to add 2 more lefties to the starting rotation. So
Oh.
now we got like a rotation full of lefties
Just
again, not
lefties.
one righty.
Yeah.
And one of the righties we just sent was on the damn All-Star team.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, but he's been so bad since June. Yeah, but he just went into Colorado and threw up goose eggs.
But yeah,
You know, and it's like, well, maybe the dude's on the right path. He just came off the DL. They said they were fixing and tinkering some things, and he went into Colorado and got us our only win in Colorado.
yeah,
And yet you're sending him in the bullpen. At least keep the All-Star in the rotation. Maybe send like one of the other dudes, you know.
Yep.
But I mean, what do I know, right? Just personal opinions.
Well, you've been in that whole baseball thing for many years, so
Yeah.
and you're not only a fan, but you're also like a student. You
Right,
really
yeah.
you really look into it and you
Yeah.
dissect it. So I think you know
I
more
know.
more or less than the average Joe.
This average, that's for sure.
Well, I just love watching baseball. I love
Right.
watching sports, but I don't follow it to a T that much.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
not the science of it. You know.
Yeah. See.
But,
yeah. And I'm all about
I'm
that.
over
you
here
know?
just listening.
I'm all about that stuff.
But you know, a funny story is you know, Artie and I have been friends for so many years,
Uh-huh.
but we just kind of went separate paths, like most of us do, because you know, different schools and just different lives. You know, like we have to live, yeah. And but we always seem to be bumping in every once in a while. And the last time that we actually had our rare occasion that we bumped into each other was at a Dodger game.
At a Dodger game?
Yeah,
Nice.
and ever since then, I think we kept more in touch.
Yeah, we did.
Thanks to
Agree.
social media. Probably,
Yeah,
though,
social media
right?
helps too. Yeah, social media has come and
we
helped.
kept more in touch, but it
Yeah.
was just one of those funny things where we're at the Dodger game, and you know, like we're saying, Dodger game, big ass stadium. Who
Yeah.
knows who you're gonna run
Yeah.
into? But yeah, we definitely did. I'm over there with a beer, and I hear my name. Hey, if you did,
Yeah, sure enough.
you know.
Yeah.
And you were a season ticket holder, so you're
Yeah,
at most of the games.
yeah, I was a season ticket holder.
That season, I probably only went to 1 or 2 games.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the chances are slim, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, I was a two season ticket holder.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Fontana for a minute. So then, it was just a long drive from Fontana.
yeah.
I'd be going to Dodger games all the time.
Yeah.
So I let them go. But now that I'm in Chino, I was talking to my wife that I might go back to season tickets again
Nice.
next year.
There you
so
go.
we'll see how it goes, you know?
There you go.
So that's what's what.
Very cool.
Well, that's that, huh?
Yeah, we got an audience now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh yeah, huh?
I think he knows us too.
Those damn crickets.
Cool stuff, dude. Definitely. Let's do it. Let's do it. End of the year.
An end of the year.
Because this is a back to school.
Yeah. The School's Out podcast. We'll do the School's Out
podcast.
episode.
School's out for summer.
For
School's
sure.
Out for summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on and sharing the stories, man.
Yeah. Good
Good
times.
luck, good luck with this upcoming school year and everything.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, for
Appreciate
sure.
it.
All right, man.
All right.
You want
That's
to close
it.
out the show?
That's pretty much it, guys. Remember to click, share, and subscribe. And just stay tuned for more content. Pretty much.
That's right. We'll see you guys. Thanks a
Later,
lot.
guys.